Hey everyone, Script Science here. As you can tell, I'm not in my shed filming a video today. That's because the weather is horrible and be terrible conditions to film in the shed. But it's also convenient that I'm in the kitchen because I'm doing some science with bread. I'm going to see if I can make electricity from bread. So let's do it. Alright, so the way that I'm going to attempt this today is I'm going to get this piece of bread, soak it with water, and then I've got a nail here. This one is zinc coated. You can get and just a regular iron nail if you wanted, and then I've got a piece of copper right here. So now I'm going to get water on that bread. Alright, there we go. So I've just drizzled some water over that bread, and all you got to do now is stick the nail in there and the copper in there as well, and then hopefully this should be producing some electricity. So I've got here a multimeter. I'm going to turn that on. It is set to whatever that is. I'm not quite sure properly how to read all of these, but this should be measuring voltage. And now red on the nail, I think, or it could be the other way around, but yeah, no, red goes on the copper and black goes on the nail. You ready? Look at that. 0.4. Oh, I saw a 0.6, just saying, 0.7, 0.8. Look at that. Just from a piece of bread, getting 0.8 of a volt. That was actually the highest one I got right there. My second highest was like 0.7. Bouncing around quite a bit, but you can definitely clearly see it. Look at that, 0.75. It just froze on 0.75, and so I'm getting that electricity all just from this piece of bread soaked in water with a nail and copper in it. Alright, now you can see I've got a slightly different setup here. Basically, bread soaked in water. This is like a galvanic cell made of bread. So yeah, bread soaked in water. This here acts as my salt bridge connecting the two, and this is just a paper towel soaked in vinegar. This, the nail, that's the copper, and now I'm going to see, by connecting these two here, if it increases the amount of volts by putting it in this way with two bits of bread, or if it stays relatively the same, or even drops down. So I've propped up my multimeter just so you guys can see it better. And now one on the copper, one on the nail. It went up, then dropped straight back down. Oh. Now I gotta say, this is not the most stable battery I've ever made. You see it goes right up to like 0.6 and then drops down to nothing again, so I wonder why that's happening, but 0.82 I just saw. So, from what I'm getting here, I believe this is still producing a very similar amount of electricity compared to just the one bit of bread. But what if I got multiple of these and hooked them up in a series? Let's see if I can get past 1 volt or even light up a little LED light. That is the plan here, so let's see what I can do. Okay, so here is what I came up with. I just made 2 cells out of the bread, and then I've connected, there's a little bit of copper under there, so I've connected the nail and the copper here. So hopefully if I connect the red to here and the black to here from the multimeter, I'll get a reading. So let's get the two leads and see, because all this bread again is soaked with water, and these are just little salt bridges of vinegar. Definitely still getting a reading. I was getting 0.6 up on that, 0.6 of a volt, but it was 0.78 just then. I've added a whole other cell, and I'm not getting an increase, which almost surprises me, but unless it's the way that I've connected them, or there's just too much resistance, considering this is a little battery that I've made from anything you can find in your kitchen. You know, I just had an idea. I literally just finished up filming the video, but I was wondering why less voltage was produced with two of the cells hooked up. So I've flipped it over to ohms, which will tell me if there's any resistance and how much. So I want to see. Wrong way. Red on the copper. Come on, give me something. It's giving me 0.3 like that. I'm only getting a reading like that, but 0.34. I am not sure if that's high at all. I'll see if I get something different from here. It's 0.6. You know, 0.34, so there's definitely some resistance in that. Considering it is bread, again, like I said before, but that could be the reason why there's just that. So I'm going to test with just the one cell how much resistance is in this, and if it's any less. It almost appears to be more, actually. More resistance than just the one. But like by only 0.3 it was. If I can get a still. No, actually no. Slightly less. I got it sitting at 3.36. So, but that still doesn't quite explain why there was a drop in voltage. If the resistance is slightly similar, the voltage still drops. Anyway, that was just a thought that I had. Let's carry on with the video. I'm going to try something. I know this is probably not correct. I'm going to connect. I'm just going to swap this around. Copper on copper. I'm going to see what happens when I do this. Yeah, there's a huge decrease on that. There's 0.6 though. All the other ones I've seen at least 0.7 to almost 0.8. So yeah, there's a definite decrease, but still generating electricity with bread. So from what I got there, I don't believe I'm going to be able to light this LED. I think it takes either 1.5 volts or at least 3 volts to light up this. This is a UV LED. It takes about that to make this light up. So from what I got here, I don't think that's going to be happening. Anyway, I'm super impressed by this. I had no clue that I'd be able to make electricity just from bread and water. That just blows me away. But if you did enjoy this video anyway, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to see future videos like this. I'm getting 0.01 just from this, the vinegar. That's, oh, not anymore, may have been a misread. Oh, now look at that, 0.01 of a volt from this.